Please tell me more about your books.
Yeah, I every time someone says, "Tell me about your books," my brain, like, immediately shuts down. My
No,
big
I understand.
series
I completely understand.
my big series is, the Olympic War Saga, and I have 2 books in that series out right now. It is a dystopian adventure romance book.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's my favorite. It's very similar to, like, The Hunger Games. It explores it in a way that's more, like, militarian.
Mhm.
And, what does it look like if we fought all these wars and then all of these wars basically, like, destroyed the US?
Whoa, that's so cool. Okay. That's great. I mean, I don't wanna be here when that happens, but, like, that's so cool. No, that's
Yeah,
really,
so,
really
like,
cool.
all of the wars have destroyed, so they fight the wars like we used to fight wars in Olympic Games, how, the Olympics kinda came to be was from the Olympic Games.
Okay.
And so there's a series of, games and battles that 4 people from one of the remaining states fights against another country from whatever, remaining people that they have or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's fight to the, death. So whoever
Mhm.
kills everybody on the opposing team wins, and that decides the war.
That's actually really cool. How many people are in each team, if you don't mind me asking?
4.
4, okay. Gotcha. Man, that's a lot of pressure on those 4 people.
Yeah.
Don't
It's
let
it's it's a it's a lot of pressure, and then they go through, like, a 2-week boot camp,
Mhm.
and they have to just learn everything that they need to learn in 2 weeks. And most of them, just kinda like the way with the Hunger Games are, most of them are drafted, but, like, randomly drafted, but some of them
Oh,
are actually specifically chosen.
okay. Gotcha.
So it follows the sister whose brother, her twin brother got chosen to be a
Mm.
part of the Olympic War. And so she volunteers to go with him so
Mm.
that she can protect him.
Oh, that's so cute. That's amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
that's sibling love right there. Is what you kinda need, especially if you're going into a war situation.
So, all
Uh,
right, let's run our fun intro and then
okay.
we'll get into it.
Alright.
Wrong one. Joke's on me. Let's run the other intro.
I feel you.
I'm dead.
Quick pause, because if you love dark stories that don't flinch, Olympic War isn't a soft love story. It's violent, it's chosen, and it costs everything. Through war, betrayal, and survival, Moonstone fights for devotion that refuses to die. This is a Black, multicultural dystopian series about power, sacrifice, and what rises from the ashes. Olympic War and Phoenix War. Read them wherever books are sold. All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of basically Unbothered. Today we are joined by Renee. Renee, I need you to know I've been telling everybody that I know that you are on going to be on the podcast.
Oh, fantastic. That's wonderful. This is great. I'm
and
honored to be here.
and my response that I've gotten was like, "Oh my gosh, I follow him. I love his content." And I was like, "Yeah, like I'm so excited to have you here today."
Thank you so much for having me. Like, I really appreciate you. So
Do you want to give everybody a little bit of an intro to you, who you are, what you do, everything like that?
yeah, I'm Renee J. I am a influencer, and a content creator. I've been doing a series for the past 6 months, which is crazy now that I think about it, but about 6 months on women's health. And it's really garnered me a lot of attention because I didn't realize how much I didn't know. And so people have been and people have been learning with me for the past 6 months.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's been very interesting watching people not only learn but also teach me as well. So it's like, it's been kind of like a tit for tat situation,
Mhm.
and that's what I've been doing. I've done stand up for a few years, prior to that, and I've been just concentrating on doing things more online recently, just because of the fact that I feel like I've been getting more of a reach, and that's me.
That's it. I didn't know that you did stand up. I feel like you might have told me and I probably forgot.
It's a okay. It's a okay.
What is is I like to think that I'm funny, but I absolutely know I'm not like stand-up comedy funny. I'm funny because I'm just making terrible jokes about what's happening in my life
No, I feel
currently.
that.
And I like enjoy when I'm at work, I enjoy making my coworkers laugh a little bit throughout the
Yeah,
shift by saying like some wild shit.
right.
Um, but I know a friend who tried stand up and it was really hard. My brother thought about doing stand up for a second. I love my brother. I don't know if stand up comedy is his thing. It's a lot more work than people think.
It's so much more work than people think. And, that is what's so crazy about stand-up comedy is
Mhm.
the writing process of it and then getting on stage and realizing you only have a certain amount of time to get out what you want to say. And you're literally waiting either that whole day or a week or a month, depending on what you're doing, to get on that stage. And when you get on there, you have only that moment to say what's really on your mind. And then after that, you have to get off, and you don't realize like how much work it goes into making just a 5-minute set.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's not for everybody. And at the same time, there's an ebb and flow. You can have like peaks and valleys at any point in your career. So
Mhm.
I completely understand. If you're saying like he's not that, funny, or if he hasn't gotten it yet, it takes years for you to figure out who you are, because you have to be who you are unapologetically, basically, or figure out what your story is or what you're trying to portray. And sometimes that can be a character, that can be yourself. It depends on how you want to like roll about it. So,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun though. It's so much fun. It's freeing, honestly. Like doing comedy, doing improv, all that stuff is free.
It's so I have a background in theater.
Okay.
I used to do theater when I was a kid and when I was in high school and I stopped as much as I loved acting. It is a lot of work and it is freeing, but I always tell people you literally have to like dissolve yourself and your insecurities and all of these things to become another person. And when the older you get, when you don't practice it, the harder it becomes because the more set in who you are and the more self-conscious you become. So I could
Yeah.
imagine that improv would be really freeing. Like maybe one day I'll get back into it again and so
Yeah.
I could
Right.
just not be so self-conscious. But the other thing about being and kind of the positions that we are in is that there is a level of self-consciousness that comes with it.
Hmm.
So right now for me, I'm unlearning being pretty.
Okay. Well, what? What does that mean? I've never
So
heard of that before.
I will not post a photo unless I think it is like a pretty version of me.
Oh, okay. Got you. Like a polished photo of yourself?
Even if it's unpolished photo, I still have to feel like, oh, this is a really cute version of me, right?
Yeah.
And I won't publish things if I don't think that it's a cute version. Podcasting has changed that for me because I watch my like clips and I'm like, "Ooh, I do not like the way that I look today," but I can't not publish it because, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but just learning how I don't always have to look pretty in every single solitary thing that I do. That doesn't mean that I'm not still pretty, but like
No.
breaking away the perfection or the like, the thoughts of perfection in my mind, even when I'm trying to be imperfect, is
Mhm.
something that I'm working on, which is like dissolving things that I believed of myself. Like, no one's going to watch my content if I don't look super pretty, which is a joke on me, anyways, because
Yeah.
people are always like, "Oh, you must get so many followers and so many likes on your posts." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I just posted something and it got 7 likes." And people have this idea though that if they view you as pretty, you're automatically at like 20K followers.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I think it could be a detriment to yourself if you're really pretty at times. Like people are afraid to actually like a post because somebody's really pretty because they don't want to seem freaked out or something like that. And I know a lot of people who will just go, "Oh, she looks nice," or "He looks nice," and won't want to
And
feel
we'll just
thirsty
keep pushing.
and keep it pushing, right. And then, like, there's people who I've seen who are drop dead gorgeous who only have, like, 200, 300 followers, and I'm like, "I don't understand that," but somebody who's, like, consistently, like, undercovers, have, like, crazy hair, or looks ashy in the face, they somehow are able to pick up so much. I've noticed that for myself. Like, there's been plenty of times where like I don't get a haircut or anything like that, and that would be the post that goes viral. And I'm like, why'd you
And
pick
you're
the?
like, "I don't understand."
Yeah, I think it's because people want like authenticity to a different degree these days. Like people want you to actually be yourself no matter what. But the problem is that I kind of want to be my best self and not giving me the opportunity to do that anymore.
Yeah. No, like, you're like, "I wanna," I agree with you. I've always said this. It was a long time ago. This podcast was a different podcast with my cousin. And
Right,
we
right.
had this episode, which to me was like the beginning of the end of our podcasting. It was called Pretty Privilege.
Mm.
And it was because the episode before, she accused me of having pretty privilege.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was really hurtful. I mean,
Mm.
like, I'm not ignorant. I know that because I am attractive, I can get away with more things. But she also has that same, thing. But the
Mm.
privilege part was like really hurtful. And, I was trying to describe to her, like, what you guys see sometimes when you see someone who's pretty, you automatically, and this is not like, I don't want anyone to take it a certain way, although I know
No,
people are
no,
probably going to,
I got
but,
you.
like, when you see someone on your screen that you think is pretty, you react in one of 2 ways.
Mm.
1, you give them the pretty privilege only if you feel as if their looks are aspiring and non-threatening.
Mm. I never thought of it that way. Okay.
But if you look at them and you feel as if their looks are threatening in a way that maybe, maybe this person is a mirror and you see when you look at them, you see things that you don't like in your own self or, so many other things, then you actually reject that person
Yeah.
and they don't get life. So like when we're talking about like the drop dead gorgeous person, the problem might not be that she's not gorgeous. It might be that her beauty people find intimidating.
That's completely fair because a lot of people will project their own feelings onto other people on a regular basis.
Mhm.
And that's scary for a lot of people to even like admit that this person who they don't know their personality because they're just that person could be posting photos of themselves or something like that. And they just assume the worst about that person or
Mhm.
that person already is going to be judging them or something of that sort based on their own perceived notion of themselves. Yeah.
And in reality, that person is like, I did another podcast with my friend and she was like, "I'm just so, insecure about being on camera and the way that I look." And I was like, "Here's the joke. Everyone who's on camera feels insecure and doesn't like the way that they look."
It's true. It's so true. It's so true. I get really self-conscious about myself as well.
Mhm.
And like I got some fat on the back of my neck that I don't like that I don't think is that big of a deal. But like I mean my girlfriend doesn't say it's a big deal, but
Mhm.
like I've had people who bully me because I got too much fat in the back of my neck. And I'm like, I'm on camera all the time. Could we just keep the camera right?
Right, like, can we not I so my, like, neck looks nice, like, my jawline looks
Okay.
great from here, right?
Right.
Whenever I shoot something below, and it's because I have, like, this extra kinda skin right here, it makes me look like I have, like, this extra fat and an extra chin whenever I shoot below, and I'm like, "I'm only gonna shoot from this angle."
Oh my god. You need it, but you gotta show off that little bit
I
of fat.
know.
You gotta show it all. People
I
probably like
know.
yeah.
It's it's the hard part of the reality of doing it is, that's one of the things that I'm trying to, like, unlearn. I'm
Mhm.
trying to unlearn perfection, which is hard because I grew up in a family that valued perfection, right?
Okay. Right.
Like, we were an A household. I
Mm.
always tell people, "Your B's were our C's, and your C's
Yeah.
were our D's." Like,
Yeah. No, I completely get that.
bringing home a C was completely terrifying to me.
Oh my god, yeah.
Um, and, there was also this I don't it's so complicated because people also see you and they judge you. And for instance, people don't know that I grew up my whole life being bullied and told how unattractive I am.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I grew up
Well, so yeah,
Hmm?
like where did you what area did you grow up that you if you don't mind me asking?
No, so I grew up in Southfield, which is right outside of Detroit.
Okay.
Um, and I was really, really skinny.
Okay.
And sometimes in the black community, that's just like it's a no-no.
It, it's definitely discouraged. They think you on drugs or you on something or like something's wrong, and it's like, have
Mhm.
you eaten enough? And it's like it's piling on certain things about you that they
Mhm.
haven't even asked, you know, and
Yeah.
that's just like who you are.
Yeah, and I was super awkward too, and my hair was a big thing. I have long, thick hair. Obviously, it's short right now because
Yeah, no,
I
no,
literally had I had really long locks and I, like, cut them off because I'm like, "I can't do this anymore."
mm,
Um, but it just there were so many things that were just really awkward about me. I was a really awkward person. My parents were really strict in the way that we were being raised. There's so many things. And I grew up with people saying, "Oh, you'd be really pretty if you had like 10 more pounds or 20 more pounds on you. Oh, you'd be so cute if you just did your eyebrows. Oh, you would be so pretty." Like there was a constant critique of me specifically
mhm,
always. Um, and so I did not grow up thinking that I was super pretty.
right, and it
I
feels
grew up
like
thinking there was something wrong with me.
wow. I mean, it feels like there's a lot of people who just have a lot of people throwing their opinions on them. And I'm
Mhm,
really sorry that that happened because, like, there's no reason for you to feel like that growing up, especially when you have strict parents on top of that as well, which I
mhm.
feel like having strict parents makes you awkward, you know, because
Yes.
like they force you inside and isolate you on a regular basis. And you're like, bro, how am I supposed to live a life that
Mhm.
you think that you want me to have? And then at the same time you're keeping me inside all the time. Like I'm not even I don't know the sun. Like I'm not getting my vitamin D that I need. So yeah, no, I think that that is very unfortunate. And so for you to have strict parents, because I also have strict parents as
Mhm.
well, so it's like going from like being isolated to then going to the onslaught of what school is in America, like, and having people who consistently are judging you for, like, who you are or, like, what you look like, especially what you look like. Because
Mhm.
when it comes to fashion, when it comes to, like, makeup, or when it comes to how well, you groom yourself or whatever,
Mhm.
it's always piling on. So, like, you had the one spectrum of being skinny. I had the spectrum of, like, people claiming that I was big. And I look at pictures of myself at that time, and I was like, I was so skinny back then. like, like it doesn't make sense. Like I could wear a bra sometimes now. I don't understand how people would say that about me back then. But it's weird how people are perceived in high school and or just in grade school in general. Um, like so looking back now, how do
Mhm.
you feel about yourself currently? Like, have you been unlearning that that's not really the case?
It's been a struggle, and it's a perfect conversation for our bigger conversation, women's health, because women's bodies is a big struggle.
Yeah.
Um, I Around this time last year, I actually had a leiomyomectomy, which is a surgery to remove fibroids.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Um, and we found out that my fibroids had endometriosis, so I have both, which is super rare. Usually you have one or the other, you don't usually have both.
is
Um,
it actually rare? I've been seeing so many different things about
really?
that. Well, that's the thing. There's not much when it comes to the research about it. It's like on one side, it's like you see doctors will say, "Oh, this is completely rare," and they throw up their all shoulders on you. And then the
Mhm.
other side, it seems like through word of mouth from
It
talking to like
becomes
different women, it becomes extensively clear that this is a bigger issue than that you have diseases or conditions that stack up on each other.
yeah,
Mm.
it's common, like, common knowledge that you either have fibroids or endometriosis.
Mhm.
You usually don't have both, but I did, and so the surgery, they removed 1 fibroid that was the size of a grapefruit. They removed
Whee!
2 fibroids that were the size of oranges, and they removed 53 other fibroids.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
That's so
I don't even think I, like, fully comprehend it even now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to take in general. I, how did you find out that you had fibroids, or like what was leading to that?
So, okay, so I had cysts before,
Hmm.
and I've had cyst rupture. So, usually when a cyst ruptured, I could kind of just, like, power through, right? Usually I, like, knew when the cyst was growing bigger and was getting ready, whatever.
Okay,
I talked to my doctor because I also have PCOS, which is now becoming way more commonly talked about in women's health.
right.
I'm just like a diagnosable Barbie, like, whatever diagnosis, give it to me. So there was this, and I've always had since I was a teenager, I've always had really bad periods,
Hmm.
and they just got kind of progressively worse and worse, and at a certain point, I was just used to it. The joke is that, like, a couple months before I found out, I got back on birth control again because I was off of birth control,
Hmm.
and oddly, that worked well for me for a while,
Yeah.
but I was about to get into a sexual relationship, and obviously when you do that, you wanna consider being on birth control. So me and my partner had that conversation. I got back on birth control. I was on the pill.
Quick question,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, what type of birth control, and
I was on the pill the first time.
like what hormone was it giving? That I guess that's more of the
Oh,
question I'm
I don't
asking.
know.
Yeah, because that's the more I talk to people about like birth control and stuff, I don't think doctors are really like describing what it is
Mm-mm,
okay.
mm-mm.
And
So
that's
I
what
have
the
no
general
idea.
consensus. Yeah, okay.
I just knew that it was like a low dose thing. But the
Okay.
problem was when I got on this birth control, and it's so I forget so many things, like I blocked out so many things because a lot of them my life had been traumatic. But I would not stop bleeding.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
profusely, really bad. It would not stop. And so I had to get off of that birth control, and then I got um what is it? The one that, like, you insert, but not an
The
IUD.
IUD?
Not an
You said
IUD, the other one.
is it the
Ring, the
coil?
NuvaRing.
The NuvaRing. Okay.
So I got the NuvaRing, and then that was working, better. But I had been during that time progressively having worse and worse periods to the point where, like, I would wear, like, period underwear
Right.
and blow through that in, like, an hour, hour and a half.
Okay.
So it
That's
was
crazy.
progressively getting worse. And then one day I was on, my period and it was so painful. And I thought I was having, I remember being to my mom, oh, I'm pretty sure a cyst is about to rupture. Right.
Hmm. Okay.
So I'm at home in so much pain. I can't move for the entire day. Right.
Right.
Like I'm literally stunned, stuck to the couch. So painful that at certain points I, like, couldn't even have anything on. Um, I call my best friend and I tell her and she's like, "You need to go to the ER. Like, this is like, you're crying. You
Right.
need to go." So I drove myself, and it was interesting because it hurt so much that, like, my pelvic floor hurt.
My God.
And I drove myself to the ER, and it was the worst drive ever because every bump was just, like, sending shockwaves through my body.
Oh. Yeah, because
And
your
I have a
pelvic
Jeep.
floor is having issues.
Yeah, and I have a Jeep, like, I feel everything.
My God.
And so
That's a
I
crazy story.
I get there, I get to the ER, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm pretty sure that a cyst is ruptured, um, and, like, how do we fucking fix this?" Right?
Right.
And they're like, "Okay." They, do the intake, they give me Toradol, which is just like Advil or whatever, right? And they're like, "Wait here." They come see me and I'm like, I'm still in they like it's Michigan Medicine Hospital. It's a big, huge, like, hospital.
Okay.
So you wait in ER for a while. They're walking around, taking people, and I'm no joke, sitting there crying.
Right.
To the point where someone stopped one of the nurses that were going around taking vitals. It was like, "Yo, she's in actual pain. Like, you need to admit her or, like,
Right.
take her back." Um, and so finally they still didn't have a place, so they put me in a bed in the hallway. And they gave me morphine.
Okay. The fact that you got morphine is actually really surprising so far. Like,
It was because I was like, the pain was just so visible, right? I think it was morphine. I'm pretty sure. That
which is not a
didn't help.
problem. I'm just saying you actually like most of the
Yeah.
time I've been hearing people don't get help that quickly. So no, but
Yeah. It
yeah.
w it was only because a white male
Mm,
said something.
right. It be like that.
It
It's,
does.
yeah.
So
It's really
they
messed up now.
they give me the morphine, and I'm still in so much pain. And they're like, "Okay," and I'm still in the hallway, and I'm just in the hallway crying. Like, crying. So finally, they're like, "Okay." They give me Dilaudid.
They give you Dilaudid. Wow.
They give
Because
me
the morphine
Dilaudid.
is not even kicking in yet.
Like, they give me Dilaudid, and it's better. Finally, I can, like, breathe, right? It still
Uh-huh.
hurts, but I
Right.
can breathe. Um, then they finally get me into, like, a ER room. They send me back for tests. I had to get an uteral or intervaginal ultrasound and, on the outside too. So painful. And the tech is like, I love the tech. She just kept apologizing because
Yeah.
I was just and it was mostly on, like, my right side, but I was just in so much pain. That happens. This is the problem with ER docs. I want all women to understand you are not crazy when an ER doc tells you that there's nothing wrong with you because
Yeah.
let me tell you. So my ER doc comes and he goes, what did he say? He goes, "Oh, well, we didn't really see any cyst that ruptures in your ultrasound. There were some other things that were concerning, but we're not really sure." Um, and I was like, "I'm still in pain." And he was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "It's palpable pain. It's not just pain that's existing inside of my uterus. It's pain that if you touch me, it hurts." So he
Right.
went through all that and he, palpitated and he was like, "Oh, wow." Gave me another Dilaudid.
Whoa.
comes back and says, oh, now remind you, he had the ultrasound this whole time. Comes back and says, oh, I took another look at your ultrasound and it looks like you have a giant, like, it's so bad that the ultrasound is partly blocked from the fibroid that you have.
My God.
And so we're going to have to go send you to get a CT scan.
Hmm.
So I go get a CT scan, come back, and then this man is like, this is all happening and it's long and exhausting. He comes back and is like, you have a fibroid like this size, like this. Like he was so in awe of this
Yeah.
fibroid that I had. And I'm like, okay, so are we removing this?
Right.
No.
Oh, okay.
And
That kind of
I'm on my
crazy.
second Dilaudid and he's like, no, we're not removing this at all. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So what's the plan? And he's like, well, you need to get an MRI. And I'm like, so are we doing that? And he's like, no, we're gonna release you and you're gonna have to make an appointment with
Why?
OBGYN. Now,
But a fibroid's a tumor. If you see a tumor the size of this, like
you
if you're doing Jay-Z signs with the size of your tumor, I feel like it's time to take it out.
like it's because and they were like, it's just not emergent enough. Now here's and I'm gonna try to make the rest of the story joke. So right now we've said I've
You're
gotten
fine.
Toradol, morphine, 2 Dilaudid. I was still in pain, not like significant pain, but pain. So then I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? You're gonna send me home in this much pain.
Right.
So he was like, all right, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you an oxy. And we're gonna have you here for like another hour or two. We're gonna see how you tolerate that oxy, and then we'll give you a prescription for oxy.
Mhm. I need some popcorn. This is a crazy story. Like, this is wild. All right.
So they send me home with oxys. I end up not taking them. I think no, there was another medication. Oh, oxys and oh, I cannot think of what this medication is, but it's like a strong version of like Advil or something.
Okay.
But like a really strong dose. So they give me those two, right? Send me home. I hate being on oxy, can't do it. So I'm just like, whatever. Call to make an appointment. This is in November. They're like, yeah, we can see you in March. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be in this because I can't get the MRI before I make the appointment.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm supposed to be in this much pain till March. Work and work. Finally, we get me to have an appointment in January. So I spend Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, I literally went like put on a period panty, which hold like 4 tampons. Drove to Meijer while I was at Meijer grocery shopping, bled
Mm.
through it, bleeding in my like sweatpants.
This is insane.
Um, Christmas was crazy. Finally get to my appointment. They're like,
Right.
do stuff. They examine me. They give me the medicine that I can't remember what the name of it is. But it's like 600. Like I'm being dosed up.
No, I get that.
Have to make an MRI appointment. MRI appointments in February. Go to the appointment to see the fibroid specialist, have a conversation. And they're like, these are the options. I'm like, no, take this bad boy out. Like, I don't think you understand. My mom's like, well, don't you want to do the medication? I was like, absolutely the fuck not. I want it out. Now, this is before we know how many or all the sizes or whatever, because we haven't had the MRI yet.
Right.
Have the MRI, go to see the fibroid specialist with my MRI. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to schedule this thing, but we can't schedule it till April, the beginning of April.
God, why is
I'm
it
like,
getting further and further out?
and I'm like, okay, we're seeing that because now we have the results. We're seeing how big it is. And we're talking about like 6, 7, 8 centimeters. Like we're at crazy up like sizes, right? And everybody's just being really calm. I ended up having to get because I also got hydrocodone at one point, or not hydrocodone. Hydrocodone. 'Cause that's, like, lower than Oxy.
They are giving you so many drugs,
Yeah.
like back to back to back.
So I ran out of that, and then they were like, "Oh, well, we don't actually prescribe that." So then they gave me muscle relaxers. So I'm taking a crazy amount of just, like, regular, like, 600 pills twice a day, right? Muscle relaxers whenever I feel pain when I get home because I can't take muscle relaxers when I'm going to work. It got so bad that my stomach became what's the word I'm looking for? It was, like,
Bloated?
bloated, but, like, painfully bloated.
Mhm.
I couldn't wear jeans.
I could
I
only
had to
imagine.
only wear, like, sweatpants or leggings, so I had to ask for special permission from work. There were times that it was so bad that I would limp around work. I was in constant pain,
Wow.
and then I also had to be I also had to go to get what is the word I'm looking for? Iron IVs. I had to get 4 iron IVs.
Because you're losing so much blood. Wow, so you're basically becoming anemic because of this.
Well, I had already been anemic, so
You're
I
already,
was, like,
yeah.
dumb anemic at this point. My first iron IV, my iron was so low that it made me sick to get the iron.
That's baffling. So you were fixing the problem, and then simultaneously, it's making you sick at the same time? I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah. So, eventually I have my surgery. So, this very long story that we got off of topic,
No, you're
but
fine, you're fine. I'm interested. Like, I genuinely, and the fact that this is the first time in a very long time I've heard people actually, like, heard someone tell me that they were prescribed, like, anything for their pain outside of, like, the Midol or, like, a Tylenol or something of that sort, like, and the fact that they're giving this to you, you're still in significant amount of pain, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just put this off for, like, months."
it was it was the craziest experience in my life
Right.
because I just kept being so confused and being like, "Why?" But I ended up having my surgery. I still have, like hold on, I'll show you. My scars are still there,
Wow.
and then I have one long one there.
Mhm.
So, to the question of, like, how do I feel, like, confident in my body now, it's been really hard. I've still been I still battle with a lot of bloating. My digestion my digestive system's changed, so recently I've gone gluten-free,
Oh, wow, okay.
because gluten all of a sudden started hurting my stomach really bad, and I've also have to be careful about the quality of specifically, like, beef that I consume because now just, like, a regular burger will make me sick.
Oh, when you say it makes you sick, like, does that is it like acid reflux? Is it nausea? Like, what?
It's like diarrhea,
Yeah,
really
okay.
bad stomach
Mhm.
pain, nausea, like, all of that,
Right.
and for months, my stomach, after surgery was bloated and distended was the word I was looking for, bloated and distended. I also have been taking, pre and probiotics, which someone was like, "Yo, that's old people thing," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. I'm old now." I take pre and probiotics. Just got into a place where, like because like I said, I was pretty small my whole life, so I've just gotten a place where I feel comfortable, like, having my stomach out. I have to just be comfortable with my scars, even though
Right.
it looks like someone stabbed me in the stomach 5 times.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad, but I understand where you're coming
I mean,
from.
like,
Because,
if um, one part, though, is that people think that I've had a BBL.
hey, yo. At
I
least
al
you have people saying you thick, you know? So
it's
there's that, but that's kinda crazy how that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of it
It's
came from
because
because
of
I
scars.
started working out, a long time before this to, like, build a body, and then one day I went out, and I had my surgery stuff, and I was, like, letting my stomach breathe because there were so many complications with that in general, um, and someone, like, just looked at me and he was like, "Honey, honey, look at her," and I'm just like, "Alright, I'm not a"
That that's crazy. They
insane,
think you post-op, that's wild.
insane.
Um, yeah.
Alright,
So
before we no, go ahead.
well, yeah. Oh, no, 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 you're fine. What was it? Before we what?
I was about to say, before we get further down this, because we still got lots of women things to talk about with you specifically,
Yeah.
let's get into our pop culture roundup. Before we get back into the episode, let's talk. I am looking for my unhinged authors. Yeah, you, the ones writing the women who don't apologize, the ones building worlds that don't center the patriarchy, the ones with a story that feels a little too bold for traditional spaces. Good. Stay right there. Pages Against the Patriarchy is now looking for authors to join our live online book event. This is not your average polite bookish panel. This is for stories that bite back, for characters who choose themselves, and for writers who are done shrinking. If you're an indie author, romance, fantasy, poetry, whatever your lane is, and your work challenges norms or flips the narrative, we want you in the room. Head to pagesagainstthepatriarchy.com to apply. That's pagesagainstthepatriarchy.com. Let's build something loud. Let's build something unapologetic. And let's get back to the episode. Our first topic of the day is that Scotland has just made period products free.
Yes, which is like really cool. Now here's the thing. I've been like trying to like look it up about Scotland's free products, but they've been on the road of doing this since like 2018.
Hmm.
I think they officially did it in 2022, but
Hmm.
now it's become like worldwide news recently. And I'm very curious of why it's now worldwide news. Maybe they were keeping it down low now, but like at the same time, it is pretty interesting. They allocated, from what I understand, like $6 million annually to like local authorities and different schools just for women to have free products, and that just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Mainly, it just makes sense. Like, you're half of the population. Like, why don't you have free products? When it comes to like periods and pads, it doesn't make sense that you would have to like be forced to go and buy something that is like heavily taxed more as well. Like, I didn't realize that there's like a luxury tax on period products. That doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, there's never been a time where I thought to myself, like, Megan Thee Stallion has never rapped about, diamond diamond encrusted pads, or Doechie's ever like made like a bar about like tampons or anything like that. It's not a luxury. It doesn't make any sense to me at all that that would be a thing. But the fact that they're doing that for the women in their country is like pretty amazing. Like, there's no other country that's doing that, which is wild. That you have so many people who have to go out of their way to pay for something else that is just a normal thing for them, and you're already getting paid less on top of that as well. So it's like there's too many different layers of like how governments are like kind of like fucking you over, which doesn't make any sense to me. But Scotland doing that is really pushing the like the movement forward about like women's rights. And I really think that it's like one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
I'm in love with it because to be clear, like from the story I just told, it's
Mhm.
medically necessary,
Yeah.
right? When we're talking about pad and tampons, they're not just things that women are just like buying to be cute or whatever. These are things that are medically necessary. Um, and that should at least be funded by your health insurance
Yeah. It should
because if At least be, because if I also have, like, anxiety and depression, and I take depression medication, I take anxiety medication. That's funded through my healthcare because that's medically necessary for me,
right.
right?
Right.
The same thing with, you know, period things. Those things are medically necessary, specifically because you want me to exist in this world where you still want me to show up as a person while my body is bleeding, right?
Right.
While
Hmm.
my hormones are shooting all over the world, all things you want me to still show up as a person, not show any, like, indication that this is happening to me at all.
Hmm.
If you require that, then you should pay for and you want women to have period like, to be clear, you want women to have periods. I don't have periods anymore. I'm on double birth control. I'm on an IUD, and I have progesterone pills.
Wow.
Because if I have a period, it risks bringing back the crazy fibroid situation with the endometriosis.
Mm. Oh,
Um,
yeah, because you would need with the whole story you just said, I completely forgot about the endometriosis. That's
yeah, that adds
yeah,
like a whole 'nother layer. And, like, they had a medical team organized to figure out how to fix I actually keep forgetting to schedule this, but I have to have yearly MRIs. But you want women to have periods. Like that, let's be clear. You want women to have periods. You want women to have periods because you want women to birth children. So you should pay for those things because I can go get birth control and not have a period and I'm not birthing kids. You know what I mean? There's so
right,
many things
right.
that you want from a woman that you don't want to, think about. And then yeah, there's a study about how, now we're seeing more period products come into the market, which is
Yeah.
beautiful because you learn that these period products, like your Always, your Tampax, those big names were designed by men.
Yes. Yep. It seems like most of the studies are not only designed by men, most of the studies are also it really feels like there's a lack of understanding what the material can even do when it comes to capturing blood. Like, I mean, I just found out like what 2 years ago. That's when they just started testing these products using blood. I'm not even sure if they're using menstrual blood, which is like a whole nother thing on top of that. Like, if you don't even understand the absorption of what you need, then how are you saying that these products actually work?
Yeah.
There's very few companies that work with like I mean that design period products that are actually owned by women, which blows my mind because if it's made by you, it makes sense why it would be more popular. And for some reason, they don't get as many looks compared to other big name companies.
Yeah, there I started using when I before all this or when and before when all this happened, I had switched to natural, um, period products because then you learn about all the chemicals that exist in them and what they do to your body, and then it gets insane, and then I started doing I cannot remember what the name of it, but it's like Black woman-owned period product company, and
Cool.
but it's so expensive.
Mm,
And that's the
mm,
other issue is that they're not people might think that I could get a box of tampons for like $2, $3. That's not happening. I'm drop
yeah.
I'm dropping 8, 9, 10.
Hmm.
And depending on how heavy your period is, you're spending
More money for the super pads, the super tampons, like and you have to also have a lot on deck because sometimes they won't sell like I would hate to have to go to the store to get these products for myself and then they only have the variety pack. I don't need nothing with the smalls or the tinies. I don't need anything like that. So it's like I it doesn't make sense that it doesn't come attached to health insurance or you don't get like some form of free product from the government or some kind of entity.
Mhm.
It's like, you just have to kinda go through this, like, none of it makes any sense to me.
No.
Honestly feels like the craziest conspiracy that's, like, the it's like a quiet conspiracy, and it's only quiet because, like, we live underneath the umbrella of, like, patriarchy. Like,
Yes.
that's what I've
Yes.
like yeah, like, I've always understood that, like, women get silenced, women get dismissed and everything like that, and then when it comes to the science of it, that's what's, like, the most scary part of it, is that there's so much that doctors to this day that learn that, oh, like sometimes you can have something unofficial put on your chart, which is WW. But I heard about that at first. I was like, white woman? But like it's actually whiny woman. Because of the fact that you're just expressing how much pain you're in or what's going on with you. And they just think that you're making excuses about your pain or trying to get like a drug, depending on what color you are. It's
Mhm.
really insane, like, how deep it goes, and it's been going on since, the beginning of gynecology. So, like, to imagine how it must feel like for you to even dream of a place where you can just get a free product that you medically need
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense at all. Like, it
Mm-mm.
actually is, like, the most infuriating thing. Like, I'm actually surprised you have all your locks. I'd be pulling some out personally. Like, that's actually how I would be right now. Um,
Dead.
yeah, no, so I I guess, you know, when you see something like that, how do you think it would be, like, the best to be implemented, as a woman? Like,
Honestly, I don't know. I if I were to say anything, I think that it should go through, like, your healthcare, right?
mhm,
You know how if, for instance, I have, like, Buspar
okay,
for my, anxiety, but I get, like, I don't get brand name Buspar, I get, like, a common name brand, same when people
right,
get I'm on Lexapro, but I don't get Lexapro, I get Escitalopram or whatever, but it's the same thing, you know what I mean?
gotcha,
I think that it should start like that, right?
mhm,
So, you should get a acceptable, healthy grade, but maybe not like a higher grade, but you should get that a part of your healthcare. It should be something that you should be able to re-up, specifically based on your own period needs. So, it should be something that a doctor or there's so many like hers is an online source that you can go to now that'll prescribe you medication that you need so that you don't have to see a doctor because that can be really expensive. Something like that where your period pads, tampons, all of that is a prescription
mhm,
that you go pick up and that prescription, through that, then the problem with America is it's hard to do that because we hike up prescription prices.
right.
But
I was literally just thinking about that.
But if we stopped doing that, and it was something that we could get free through our healthcare, regardless if our healthcare is, private healthcare, if we're having Medicaid or Medicare or whatever. And then if you wanted to get like a super brand name or you wanted to get natural, it's still prescribed to you, but you pay $1 to $2 out of pocket every month for your supply, right? And obviously you should always get extra because you don't never know how your period's gonna fluctuate or whatever that month. Um, but that would be how I see it. So I'm interested to see, how it's working for Scotland,
Mhm,
and to see how the women are gonna work with that. But we're gonna pop off of that and pop into
right,
another topic that is also talking about the stressfulness of being a woman.
mhm,
Megan the Stallion was rushed to the hospital
yeah,
during her Moulin Rouge performance.
yeah. That's pretty scary. I mean, I'm actually really shocked that she would, because I heard it was due to, like, exhaustion and dehydration,
Mhm,
and to know how much she works out, to know how much she dances, and to know, like, how much she's been on tour, and for her to still get, like, sent to the hospital
mhm.
during a musical that is pretty widely known, but at the same time, it's like, how are you in a position that that's happening? It just feels like there's no protections for her underneath that, and it's like if she's already in shape in going through this, like there must have been something that was like awry when it comes to that.
Well, I think that a part of it comes so I'm gonna be clear, I'm not a big Meg the Stallion fan myself personally.
Okay.
But I'm only saying that because I've said it before in the podcast, and I don't want anyone
Yeah,
to be like, "Oh, but now she's defending her, but last week she was saying" like, I could not like her as a
yeah,
musician, but give a fuck about her as a woman, and admire regardless of how I feel about her music or some of the choices or some of the background, the way that people support her, she's still a woman, and she's still wildly talented, gorgeous, beautiful. Like, those things are still gonna be true. People think that when you don't like a celebrity, you think that they're like, I don't like LeBron James. Do I think LeBron James is talented? Sure. Can't stand
sure.
it. I can't wait for him to be off my screen for basketball. Let me just say.
Yeah, he just be throwing crazy opinions all the time. But yeah, I feel you.
Um, but I say all that to say I think that a problem is that because she has to be Meg the Stallion and she has to be Meg the Stallion in the theater. A lot of people don't know how intensive being in the theater actually is.
Yeah. I
Um,
actually don't know. I was trying to do more research about it, and I was, like, really trying to figure that out.
you're doing okay, let's say in a celebrity's life as a rapper or singer, right? Non-album time, okay? So we're not recording an album right now.
Okay.
You probably are, waking up if we're just doing rehearsals for the concert, you're probably waking up, you're probably doing rehearsals for 4 or 5 hours, right?
Mm, right.
Maybe go work out, eat. You have a little bit more control of a rehearsal because you're Meg the fucking Stallion, right? So if you're
Mhm.
feeling exhausted, you can be like, "Oh, let's take an early lunch," or whatever. In a theater, you have to think it's not just about you, it's about everybody else that's around you. So
Mm.
all of these rehearsals, these are 8 to 9 to 10-hour rehearsals.
I didn't know
Literally.
the rehearsals were that long. I assumed it was, like, between 3 and 4 hours, not 8 to 10 hours.
There's
That's a whole
and
sh
that's just depending on the thing because in theater, you don't get another shot,
Mhm.
you know?
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
So
Because it's
you
literally live, yeah.
yeah, you have to be prepared for each and every show to be your absolute best.
Right, right,
Um
and considering that she's the first female, performer for what, Siddler, like,
Mhm.
it I mean, that in itself is pressure. So, like, you have to be perfect on top of the fact that you now have to, like, basically uphold the idea that, like, other women can even play this role in the first place.
And that, that comes with the hardship of being a Black woman, the hardship
Yeah.
of being a Black woman and or a Black person in general.
Mhm.
It's just heightened because Black women are a double minority,
Right.
um, is that you are representing not only for Black people, but for women. You have to represent for both. You are supposed to be the person that breaks down these doors. That's how
Right.
you feel. You're supposed to be the
Mhm.
person that breaks down these doors so that other women can have the chance. You have this significant and severe weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, and it seems like no matter what you do, it doesn't
Mhm.
ever feel like it's enough,
It's n
you know?
and I was gonna say that on top of that, she's probably going to these rehearsals and having to, like, dissociate, become Zidler. But then she's probably having meetings before, meetings after, because she's still Meg the Stallion.
Right, right, and, like, when are you supposed to eat? When are you supposed to take care of yourself in between all of that? Like, that's it doesn't seem like you really have time for yourself for a moment. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah, not at all. I mean, the fact that she's back on the show is pretty impressive already, but at the same time, like, feel like you need a little bit more rest if you were already rushed to the hospital.
I read her statement and she's like, "I only need to rest for a day." And I'm like, "Honey, sweetie, baby girl, I need you." And I've been in that position, right? Like legitimately, I had it's a little swollen still compared to
Mhm.
like my other pinky. It's a little swollen
Yeah.
still and it's still a little crooked. I sprained my finger at work
Oh, wow. Okay.
and worked the rest of my shift.
And see, you gotta go home when that kind of stuff
Like,
happens.
but like I always have this thought in the back of my so we know that there are stereotypes about Black people, like Black people are lazy.
Mhm.
And whether people wanna admit it, whether people want to, like, take responsibility for it, it's always in someone we talk about implicit bias. Sometimes it's always in someone's the back of their mind.
Yep.
And so, I feel like I have to always work harder as a woman and as a Black woman to prove that I can do it just as much as anybody else can, that I could be better, that, I didn't help close as much as I wanted to with my coworkers
Right.
yesterday because I was diffusing a situation.
Mhm.
And then I felt so apologetic because my coworkers had to work harder because I
Right.
wasn't working. And that's just kind of the name of the game, right? Some
Yeah.
days you slack and other people don't slack. I don't feel like I can slack. And I think
Right.
Meg the Stallion feels the same way. Like I can't slack. We don't know how hard her team might have had to fight for her to get this role.
Right.
You know, w and the other thing is that when you're a celebrity, and I'm gonna say this again, and I say it almost every podcast at this point, I wanna be well known, I do not wanna be a celebrity. When you are a celebrity, people expect more from you, and people are always watching you, and not just, like, the parasocial relationship you have with your fans, but your
Right.
next project is watching you.
Yeah, you always have to perform for the next thing.
Mhm,
And that's what's so scary about being a celebrity or being in this industry in general, is that like no matter what, if you have like one moment where you slump off, they're going to feel like they can't trust you for the next project. On top of the fact that they might think some kind of stereotype about you because you're black or because you're a woman.
mhm,
Oh, she's making a lot of excuses. Oh, she has an attitude when she's describing her pain, or like it's always something. It's
mhm,
always something. And I yeah, it doesn't make any sense of like what you're supposed to be doing as a person when you're just like, hey, I'm going through something and I just want some kind of empathy, some kind of sympathy about what I'm like dealing with. And if I can't take 2 or 3 days off
mhm.
because I'm like actually sick or down for the count, like you're telling me I was dehydrated? Please, please. That means that we have to do less rehearsals, less of something around my schedule so this way I can do my job.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
you it's a constant thing, and when I saw it, I immediately just felt sad for her. Understand, like, she has way more pressure than I ever have in my life, like, I wanna be very clear about that, like, we think we know what the pressure is on a celebrity, we have no fucking idea.
absolutely none. Absolutely none. Every word is like tracked by somebody. Somebody is paying attention to every single move that you're doing. And if they
Mhm,
can get something on you, they will use it.
mhm. So,
And
like,
that's the scary part. Yeah.
I hope that, for her, she does, because you also have to realize that these shows, you're not doing 1 show a week.
Right.
They're
You're
doing,
doing
like,
like 5.
5. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes 10 because they'll do like 2 shows a night, depending on
Mhm,
like what kind of situation it is. And I know her needs must be insured. So like I don't know how they're trying to solve like making sure she's okay at all times. Like I'm just very curious at how she has like a work life balance with all the projects that she's working on,
mhm.
considering her music, considering the fact that she was just on a TV show with Daniel Radcliffe. I can't think of the name of the show.
I know what you're talking about. It's the I can't think of the name of it either, but she was just on that.
Yeah, she's just on a TV show as well. So it's like the fact that like she's doing all of this and at the
Mhm.
same time Broadway,
Yeah.
which takes up all of your time. Yeah, it's just so much. I'm actually not surprised that she had to go to the hospital.
No.
Honestly, I'm more surprised that they kept the show going and didn't like try to
It's
reschedule certain seats or anything of that sort.
mm-mm, you can't do that, you can't do that. That's the thing that, like, that's the hard part about theater, that it's so different than the movies and nobody talks about it. The show must go on is not just like a common, colloquial statement. The show must go on is the truth. That is why you have backups and backups,
Mm,
because at the end of the day, someone can literally break their leg on a show and you will see them continue. The show must go on. They're gonna figure out a way to make it through.
that's
That's
insane.
just that's the mentality of theater. It sucks, but
It does suck, and at the same time, it feels like that is like purposely. Um, I don't know. It feels like it's somewhat criminal, but at the same time, I think it's like it's like a punishment with the reward of being known, and that I
mhm.
don't feel like that's fair at all.
No, there's a lot of not being a celebrity that is fair. That isn't fair. All right, we're gonna get into our pettier facts. So, quick question. Have you ever opened your to-do list, looked it dead in the face, and then immediately decided that reorganizing your desktop, deep diving on YouTube, or starting a completely unrelated side quest was actually the better life choice? Yeah, same. And that's exactly why this week on Basically Unbothered, we're talking about something that doesn't yell at you to wake up at 5 a.m. or just be more disciplined like some productivity drill sergeant. We're talking about A Pinch of Productivity, the secret sauce for motivation by Don Turner. Because instead of shaming you into being productive, it gives you the pinch framework: pressure, interest, novelty, challenge, and humor. Translation: you're not lazy, your brain is just bored. This is about learning how to work with your brain instead of fighting it so you can actually finish the things you keep putting off without turning your life into a boot camp montage. So, if your motivation bar has been sitting at low HP for a little too long, go check out A Pinch of Productivity wherever books are sold. And maybe, just maybe, we'll finally finish one task before starting five new ones. The Pettier Facts this week is so Robert Pattinson and our girl Zendaya, whom I love
She's
so
such a
much.
lovely, such a lovely woman.
I mean, like, her parents just raised her to fuck right. Like,
Hmm. They
she's
really
the
did.
she's the example of how parents should raise their Disney children.
Yeah, that's so real. Like, because the thing is that she was able to somehow keep things private with her personal life, being able to like consistently grow herself, show up when she needs to show up, and at the same time, like hang back. Like, she does it exactly right. Like, it doesn't seem
Mhm.
like she has like too much drama in the background of things. And
She could, and you would never the fuck know.
I would have never know. I would absolutely never know.
And to me, she is also the queen of a press tour because she gives you so little. When she goes on press tour, you feel like you're awarded with her personality, which is always amazing and bubbly and intelligent and insightful. Um, but it's like an extra plus. But she's in this new movie, The Drama,
Yeah, it's called the drama.
yeah, with Robert Pattinson. Shout out for Robert Pattinson for keeping his career going.
Man, that man had was able to escape being pigeonholed into Twilight. And I've seen all the movies. This I want to say last winter. No, it was 2 winters ago. My girlfriend was like is a huge Twilight fan, and she was like, if we're gonna be dating, you have to just watch them. All right, like it was the I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And the fact that he was able to escape that role to so many big, like different and widely different roles, from Good Times to, I mean, recently with the Batman.
Mhm,
Uh, there's a lot of like different A24 roles as well, where it's like
mhm.
not necessarily like huge big name, but it's more like indie films.
I mean, A24 is like the name in indie films right now.
Yeah, they're doing such a wonderful job with what they're doing. And I think it's mainly because of the fact that they're just looking for directors to really express things that you don't see anymore,
Mhm.
which is like just standalone movies. I don't need a franchise no more. I don't need sequel after sequel after sequel. Like,
I don't need a franchise. I don't need this same thing being done over and over and over. That's why I love A24 now. I love all these movies that are coming out right now. So, um, while Robert Pattinson was doing this and I also love the promotion that they do because it feels a lot more raw and real, but they asked
yeah,
him a question about Team Edward or Team Jacob.
okay,
And Robert
yeah.
Pattinson said, "No one was Team Jacob. It was just a marketing tactic."
And you know what? That feels so real. Okay. That feels so shady, but so real.
Yeah.
Because I remember growing up seeing that promotion, and it was always Team Edward, Team Jacob, Team Edward, Team Jacob. And I
Mhm,
saw people picking sides, and I never really watched it before, right? So
mhm.
when I started watching the movies, and I'm like, there is no Team Jacob. There is absolutely none. He is consistently cucked throughout the whole movie, which is like a weird thing to say, but like at the same time, like he never got the attention from I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud, but he
Yeah,
never
I
got
mean,
the
he didn't.
attention from Bella.
He never got the attention from Bella. He never was in this place, but everybody somehow.
Somehow was trying to like make it seem like those two even belonged together, and that was even like like it was really Jacob just paying attention to her, and that was really about it. I mean, the fact that um what what happened at the end where like
He, like, falls in love or he imprints on Renesmee, and it's
the fact that he imprints on like the child, wild. I can't even believe that that was even included in the movie. I can understand that that happens specifically in the books, and you
yeah.
want to rewrite it for the movie. But yeah, no, Robert Pattinson. I don't even think he's petty. I
I
think
don't
he's
think it's
being
petty.
real.
I think
I
it's
think
low-key facts. I think it's I
no, low
legitimately
key facts. Like he was telling the truth.
No, you're right. Jacob never really had a chance. We've
Mhm.
decided that, Robert Pattinson was just spilling out facts. The
Yeah,
Jacob
right.
timeline was stupid in general. But now we're gonna pop off of our pop culture and our pettier facts, and we're gonna talk more about you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just wanna talk about how you got onto the subject of women's health.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was just as I mentioned earlier, I was talking about the periods. I mean, sorry, the lack of study around using sorry about this. Okay. The lack of research around period blood being used on tampons and pads.
Mhm,
I just was just mentioning that in one of my posts because I was kind of baffled by that in itself.
mhm,
And then that went viral. But then what was interesting is I was just stuck reading all the comments and women
mhm,
just coming out and saying, "Hey, have you heard about fibroids or have you heard about adenomyosis or endometriosis or any of
mhm,
these things?" And it caused me to go down like a deep rabbit hole to the point where now I'm going to the library to like actually like find books about this because or just about women's health in general because I realized that like not only is there a lack of research in that, I didn't do any of my own research. Like I besides the idea of knowing women,
mhm.
you are half the population. Like it is so crazy
Yeah.
that now I'm talking to like different men and everything, from like my friends to family members and everything like that, and just like explaining what I'm learning, and they have absolutely no idea what I'm even talking about in general. Um, and that kind of like blew blew my mind the fact that there's so many people who just kind of ignore who they're around.
Mhm,
Um, and so after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just th- while I was learning, it was like I'm now 10 days deep, just telling people what I'm learning and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, that 10 days turns into 30, turns into 50. We are close to 200 days at this point of just doing research. Um, but it's interesting because of the fact that like I'm actually genuinely interested. It's something that I feel like just should just be a normal thing. Like I don't think you should be able to like date women if you don't know anything about women's health. Uh, I mean that's kind of unpopular, but like I really don't think you should
Yes.
be able to. I really don't think you should be able to just go out and give opinions on either women's bodies or women socially in general if you know absolutely nothing. And a lot of men do because we're kind of force fed that you do know everything, that women are just men with different parts.
Mhm,
Um, and so, like for example, I found out I want to say halfway during my journey that like toothpaste, for example, something as simple as toothpaste is not designed for women for the most part. You know,
mhm,
um, that like women's saliva is more acidic, so because of that, you need more basic use of toothpaste, like baking soda, for example. If like your toothpaste has baking soda in it, that's the type of toothpaste you need to like make your teeth more healthy, just for
mhm,
you. That kind of stuff is the reason why I just kept on making these videos because of the fact that it's like if I'm finding out And then now I'm teaching not only men but other women about this stuff.
Mhm.
That there's a gap. There shouldn't I should not be in the place that I'm in talking about this if we had the right protections and everything. And it started radicalizing me that that women just don't have any protections when it comes to their health and rights. And I've been seeing the progress that we've been having, but it doesn't ever feel like enough. Because if you look back a couple years when it comes to anything, you realize, oh, we are either cutting funding to something, we are they just started doing the research on it. There's even if you did the research, you have the ability to get help for any of the things that you need help with. You still have either doctors dismissing you, or if that doctor wants to help you, your insurance is now fighting with you on getting it covered because your insurance doesn't believe it's a huge medical issue, and it's just like a rabbit hole of things. And it brings me to the point where I'm surprised more women don't bite men. Like, I just don't understand why you're not feral to a certain point.
I need you. That is so that's like I don't know, have you seen the Taylor Frankie Paul thing that's been going on?
Mm,
It's about, like, domestic abuse and reactive abuse, and she, like, ends up throwing a chair or several, like, stools at her significant other, and what we don't see is all the things that he said about her
hmm
beforehand, and that's one of the things I've been trying to, like, advocate for, but that statement in itself, like, w why aren't women more angry? Like, we get so mad when women get angry at the treatment of them and the treatment that men give them.
Right.
We should be more angry.
You should. You should. You've been like systematically oppressed so much
Mhm.
that you are told to be gentle and to be soft and all that kind of stuff. And I understand the ideal behind it, but at the same time, nowhere in the animal kingdom, for the most part, women are soft or gentle. They're usually the protectors and the providers of their family units. And so if you're in a position where a man has said something crazy to you, dismissed you, or anything like that, you have to do so much and so far beyond to advocate for yourself.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, just a couple days ago, I was talking about, I'm trying to remember what exactly I was talking about, right? But I just remember, um, oh, okay. The post that I had was about different words that you can use to talk about the pain that you're going through, in the sense of like stabbing pain or burning pain, just giving more adjectives. Because I found out a lot of, I mean, when you go
I
to the
don't know what
doctor,
words to use.
yeah, what are you supposed to use, right? And so, like, just going down that list, and
Mhm.
then for women to say, well, even if I told the doctor all of this, they're not going to believe me anyway. So, it's crazy because, like, no matter what you can really do, you're always trapped between a rock and a hard place when it comes to like getting any help. There was a book that I was reading called When Sex Hurts, and it was mainly because of the fact that a woman who made this movie called Lady Parts sent me her book,
Mhm.
um, and sent me a book that she read going through vestibulodynia. Do you know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, basically, it's like having extra sensitive nerve endings, from what I understand, at the
Mhm.
opening of the vagina, causing like extreme pain, right? And there's a lot of different women that go through chronic pain. I mean, from what I understand, like, especially if you go through perimenopause with the lack of estrogen going through your body, you
Mhm.
are literally going to have some kind of vaginal chronic pain once in your life, right? So I was reading through that book, and it's wild to me how much the doctors, I mean, that wrote this book are explaining what you can do to like talk to your doctor, but like even then at the end of each chapter, like, I mean, you can only do so much. You might have to like go to another state for a doctor. And I'm like, you have to go to another state. I don't understand. Like, in the fact that like your rights are based on your location. It just makes me
It's
feel like I'm going crazy talking about it
it's
all the time.
it's
Um,
so insane.
yeah, it really is insane. I mean, I've always liked conspiracy theories. This is not one that I like. I love a good conspiracy theory. I
Oh,
love the conspiracy theory.
not like the crazy ones, but like a
Right.
good, well fleshed out conspiracy
Yeah.
theory just gets me going.
It really gets me going. But, um, but like finding out about seatbelts not being made for women, like in any way, shape, or form, like even to this day, just not made for your body structure, for um, the size of your torso, the size of your hips, or anything of that sort. It's literally not made for you. And to understand that more women are injured in car accidents than men, and there's nothing structurally being fixed about it,
Mhm.
it's just like,
Because
is there
but
any
why would there be? Because the men drive, girls just wanna be passenger princesses. They don't wanna drive. Why would
I
we
just don't
why would we and to be clear, guys, your seatbelt, like, the thing that makes your seatbelt does not cost a lot of money to change.
no.
Like, it could be something as simple that they could do at the dealership when you buy your car, is have someone there to exchange the seatbelt mechanism. Like, it's not that difficult. Um,
Like
and
something
but
adjustable at the top or anything.
why would they rearrange anything to be work better for a woman? Why would we do that? That doesn't make any sense. Let me tell you, specifically black women. I had, and I still do not know why, I had this darkening, like these dark spots that were going on my leg, and it was so painful to walk on my leg, and we thought that for a second I had blood clots, which I think that, I mean, I'm gonna my, like, my ER stories are, like, wild. Um, I went the first time to a Beaumont hospital,
Mhm.
um, and they checked in, and they ran all my stuff or whatever, and what they do is like a D-dimer, and they let me go, even though I was still in pain again. They had no thing. They didn't believe me when I kept pointing to the spots, although my coworkers, my father, and other people saw the spots on my legs, but they couldn't see it in the bright lights of a hospital because when
Right.
you are darker colored, it is harder to see dark spots on your skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you flash a bright light on it, it's harder to see dark spots on your skin. But
Mhm.
they don't teach you that.
Wow.
So then
Wow, wow, wow.
I had to go to my doctor,
Mhm.
and I was exhausted. I looked terrible. It's like 2 days later, she sent me back to the ER.
Mm.
At that point, my D-dimer had dropped, which we were happy for, but she was still worried about a blood clot. They did a chest X-ray, and they said, "Everything's good." They sent me home. I have learned to read my ER notes, like the ones, because everything's uploaded in a phone now.
No,
I
no, I get that.
I read all of my ER notes. I read every when I get a scan, I read everything that they said and commented on the scan about. Because when your doctor comes and tell you at the ER, they don't tell you anything.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I read my scan, they did a chest X-ray, and they noticed dark spots in, like, my lungs or something, or in my chest, that was indicative that I could have pneumonia.
wow. Okay.
Didn't say a single word to me about it.
Okay, quick question. Is that a common occurrence for you if you go to the doctor and what are they actually explaining? Like, even when it came to your fibroids or endometriosis or anything of that sort, right? Are they explaining what's happening with that? Because that is another thing that I've been finding out, once again, through word of mouth. Like, it's not something that I'm finding documented in a lot of different places. I've read a few different books, specifically Invisible Women,
Mm,
It's All in Her Head. Um, I've read a few books where they talk about the research gaps, but when it comes to this specific phenomenon about you go to the doctor,
mhm,
they tell you, "Hey, this is what's wrong with you,"
mhm.
and then they turn around and let you off without explaining what the problem is.
How
Does
how can you manage it? How can you make it better? Anything like that. It happens. It happened to me all the joke is that happened literally 2 day the next day or the 2 days later, I could barely breathe. I had the medication that I had for my fibers, I had extra left over, and I, like, looked if I could take that because I couldn't I drove to work, and I'm, like, so sick, and I end up having to take the medicine twice, and it helps. But then I'm like, "Oh, shit, maybe I actually do have walking pneumonia," and they let me out of the hospital knowing that I could have potentially had this. Not even saying, "Hey, we noticed this. If you we notice that you" 'cause all you have to, because ER doctors are trying to get you out, but all you have to say to
yeah,
me is, "Hey, we noticed a little darkness in your lungs. It could potentially be pneumonia or walking pneumonia or something else. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna prescribe you this medication. If you don't have any other symptoms, don't pick up the medication, you don't need it. But if you start
right,
showing these symptoms, that medication is there for you.
right.
And if
It
it
just
gets
feels like
worse,
the simplest thing to do.
it literally takes you an extra 2 to 3 minutes.
Right. And it's weird because the thing is that this is not even indicative that all doctors are bad. It just seems like it's a thing that's kind of like embedded in the practice
Mhm.
that there's a way for you to have like some kind of gap in not knowing what is actually going wrong with you. Like for you to give me a diagnosis and to not describe what the diagnosis is, I just feel like it kind of you're not doing your job.
I literally with my fibroids, I literally had to ask. And I hate advocating for myself, but I literally had to ask, "Okay, what does this mean? Okay, what is this? Okay, what do I need to do?" Those should be things that you are automatically giving me. And you're right, that's a big gap in our own healthcare system, specifically for
Mhm.
women, is that we're not describing anymore. I don't know if you've ran across, like, the whole breast cancer controversy.
No. It's just so much. It's so much.
They will so if you have breast cancer in your family, or if you
Mhm.
maybe were doing breast cancer and you found a lump, or like, checking yourself to find a lump, if you are between the ages of, like, 20 to 35, you have to fight for them to do an exam or a mammogram because they will tell you that it's not likely that you have it, so don't worry about it.
But you would treat that with any other disease if it's following in your family line. So why wouldn't you do that for that?
Because women just are exaggerating. We're just imagining these symptoms.
Yeah, and that's the other thing of the idea that you're imagining it so much that you're put on like I've seen a lot of people get put on anxiety meds rather than the medication that would help with their pain because it's all in their head. And those numbers are also pretty crazy as well. Like you there what are you supposed to do when you actually need help. Like, and I remember when I was first doing the research about it, I was talking to some of my friends about it, and the first idea was like, oh, you need to have somebody come with you to advocate for you, like probably a man. And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, the problem that makes the problem worse. Now you have to have a chaperone
Yep.
to like explain why
Because
you're in pain.
then they will do you I can't even tell you how many times I went to the ER in, like, the session, and my iron was low, and they never like, my iron was stupid low before they decided that I need to be on iron, get iron IVs, that they
Mm.
never gave me an iron IV even though my iron was super like, there was one time I was having chest pain, I was nauseous, I felt like I was gonna pass out, I left work and went to the ER. At that same time, my D-dimer was also high. And no one has checked that out, no one looks back and be like, "Oh, her D-dimers have been high multiple times, maybe we need to"
Sorry,
um,
I agreed too quickly. What's a D-dimer? I
it's like a
I
test,
realized I saw myself shake my head up and down. I was like, "Wait, I don't know what that is."
it's a blood test, and I don't know what it's testing for, but it's like a pre-test to see if you have blood clots.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Um, And so I was having all this chest pain, and my mom was like, so my mom has stage 4 breast cancer. Um,
Okay.
and so she's had to get iron IV, so she's very aware of, like, how your body will react if you need more iron. And she was like, "It sounds like to me that your body just needs more iron." Now this is in the process of me still trying to figure out about my fibroids or whatever, right? A month or 2 later, they're like, "Yeah, bitch, you need iron. Like, you're getting iron
Yeah.
every fucking week. We're not playing these games with you."
Right.
I went to the ER. Iron was stupid low. I'm not I wish I could look up how low it was. Dumb fucking low. And I was like and I literally and this is a female doctor this time. I literally look at her and I'm like, "My iron is really low." My mom is on the phone and she says, "Should we give me an iron IV to try to get my iron up?"
Right.
"Oh, no, you're prescribed iron pills. That should be enough." Come to find out that those symptoms were definitely because my iron was stupid low.
Mm.
And and for the record, for people who don't know this, when your iron is at an extreme low point, it can be deadly.
Yes.
It can be a life or death situation.
Yeah. And
And they sent me home. Like, what if something got worse?
and that's the thing. It's just like you're a casualty if you don't advocate for yourself. You're a casualty if you don't have somebody advocating for you. One slip up when it comes to your medical assistance in general can really risk your whole life. And it could be that one time that somebody dismisses you that and they send you home and that's it.
It also creates like, did I go to like it's this bitch is crooked. Have I gone to see a single person about my finger? No. Because I don't wanna have to deal with like, I self-diagnosed it, I work with my coworkers, I buddy taped it for 2 days, I bought myself my own splints, and weirdly ended up using ChatGPT to answer some of the questions I had because I have such a fear of going to the ER or the urgent care and them just dismissing me. That at this point, I don't wanna I need to see a doctor for my heart, I need to see a doctor for other things. I just don't wanna go because I don't wanna go feeling like something is wrong with me, my intuition knowing that something is wrong with me, and then being gaslit by a doctor.
Right.
I
Right.
just don't have it in me anymore. So, my
And
finger
that's
might be
so
like this
scary.
forever. Who knows? I'm
That's really scary to think that like you can't even get help because you feel like they're going to just gaslight you out of the hospital or out of your own care.
Mhm.
It's it's depressing and at the same time, like once again, you gotta bite these people. Not really. Like you can't bite a medical professional, but there
But
needs
you
to be
do, like, you
but
gotta
you do. You gotta do.
it's crazy, and it's one of the things that is severely wrong with healthcare for women, treatment of women in general. You've been on a journey, you said, for over, like, 200 days now, which is just first of all, I wanna commend you. Not a lot of men
Yeah.
care enough about women. And I say that because it's like, I'm getting ready to, like, launch these man hater shirts because people just keep calling me a man hater, and I'm like, "Am I a man hater or am I just calling out the negative behavior in the patriarchy? Which one is it?" But
Right.
there was I was just listening to the podcast I was editing, and one of her conversations was about, like, even when you're sleeping with someone and it's just, like, casual sex, there should be a level of care and understanding for a woman, like, is she okay? Does she need there's a level of care for women that doesn't exist because there's a lacking in the level of caring about women.
Right.
And I wanna commend you because you're not just you love women, but you are showcasing a care for women that is not often seen. That being said, though, you've been on this journey for about 200 plus days. What is the wildest or the worst or the most outrageous thing that you've learned on this journey so far?
Oh man. I think the most wild thing that I've learned
Mhm.
is how little research there is around menopause, and that's half your life. And that's so scary to me in general.
Mhm,
But every single time I try to research more about menopause, there's nothing there.
mhm,
Like, there are studies, don't get me wrong, but compared to anything that has anything to do with my balls, I can find something more intensely researched about that, male pattern baldness, or anything of that sort. Um, and perimenopause as well. Like, I mean, and that's
no one
relatively,
talks about perimenopause.
it, and that's relatively new. Like, considering the fact that people are actually talking about it,
Mhm,
but it's it's scary to me that there are situations where, not even situations, your life at a certain point, you get to a certain age where people will forget about you, and it's just because you're not quote unquote useful to them anymore, basically as if you're a baby factory. And that just doesn't, it just feels sick.
mhm,
um I'm trying, like, I'm trying to think of the craziest fact. I mean, we've already talked about fibroids. We we've talked, honestly, I think fibroids is really what it is for me, just because of the fact that I didn't, one, I never even knew about it up until months ago.
mhm,
Um, what scares me is that it affects 70% of women before the age of 50.
mhm,
Um, and the fact that that's not, it's breast cancer, as far as I understand, affects 8 to 10% of women.
mhm,
Endometriosis, same, like around the same numbers, right? And there are months dedicated to this. There are a lot of campaigns dedicated to this. There
mhm,
are tumors growing in your body. And for people to just give you all shoulders about it on a regular basis, for people to actually not care that you are going through this, or to give you a Tylenol and say you're supposed to just deal with the pain, has been blowing my mind. The whole, oh man, the whole thing has been, every step of the way, it seems like you're being ignored.
yeah,
And the fact that half of, I mean, if it's not because of puberty, if it's not because of what you're doing within your own reproductive life, if it's not perimenopause or menopause, it really feels like everyone's against you. It, and I don't want to come to that conclusion, but the more I do research, it does feel like that. It feels like there is somebody who doesn't want anything from you outside of have sex, have babies, clean, cook, and then that's it.
mhm,
Uh, but yeah, menopause would probably, I'm gonna focus on that for a second. Is the fact that there's like barely any research on that,
mhm,
um, has been really scary for me, because there's not a lot of things that you can do when your body's failing you. From what I understand, when you're going through menopause, the lack of estrogen in your body is would cause you to have osteoporosis. Um, and I mean, the stereotype of being a frail old woman, and for it to just, now that I understand that that is something that's a part of your biology, and for
mhm.
no one to really try to fix it, I want to bite people. And it's just, I want to fight everyone. And yeah,
It's
that's
a
kind of where I'm at.
it's a like, people get so frustrated at women's anger towards men, and there was this thing that I saw that said, "Women hate men as a system, and men hate women as people." Um, but there's this anger that men have about women being angry, right? They're so
Yeah.
irritated with us being angry. And you're right, it involves a lack of understanding of what we are constantly having to go through. And in this instance, we're just talking about medically, but I mean,
Right.
there's so much more to it than medically, but there's this constant battle that you have to face every day just to get treatment, to be treated equally, to, fight the stereotype. There's so much that goes on that is like, I don't hate you as a person. I hate the patriarchy. and everything that it has created that has decided that women's care, women's mental health, all of those things just don't matter as much. And and I wanna reiterate, it is the patriarchy, and the trouble with it is that men benefit from the patriarchy,
Yeah.
so they have a hard time wanting to dismantle it.
Mhm.
And I understand that, like, to be clear, if you were the CEO of a company and someone's like, "Alright, cool. Well, we're gonna have to dismantle this, and you're gonna have to be co-CEO with another person, and your advantages and things you're gonna get are now gonna have to be shared," or you would feel this chokehold.
Yeah.
Get it. But at the same time, the system is just so stacked against women. And there's just not enough time spent, like, I got a lot of hate last year because there's now a mental health awareness month,
Okay.
and that is shared with pride.
Well, there's only 12 months of the year. It's kinda crazy, but okay.
And I mean, it's
Yeah.
kinda crazy that the
Yeah.
patriarchy contributes to the fact that we need to have a pride month in general,
In the
and
first
now
place,
we
yeah.
have to share it. There's so many other months that you could have. Like,
Yeah.
I would even take January, have January.
You know, January wouldn't have been a bad idea. It wouldn't have been a bad idea.
But
Um,
take January, share it with November. I don't know, like,
yeah.
and I'm not saying that men's mental health doesn't matter, but it's like men's
No,
mental
it's not
health,
that.
it just shouldn't matter at the expense of everybody and everything else. And that's the biggest thing is that to protect men, the system, it means that everybody else who doesn't fall into that category has to suffer.
Right.
And
Right.
again, it's a system. It's systematically
Right.
pressing down information about women so women don't have the information, so they don't have the power. Pressing
Mhm.
down information about our bodies, not teaching people about women's bodies.
Right.
Like when I go to health class, I shouldn't just have to learn about my own body. I should have to learn about the body of my partner.
Right. And they do teach that, but they only teach it in 5th grade or, like, in middle school, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Some states don't in general, you know?
Because they
Some
view it as this like, "Oh, I don't want my little girl or my little boy to learn these things," and it's like, now you're teaching sex, and it's like, it's not sex,
Right. You're just
it's
learning about the
science.
human body. There's no reason that you should be learning about the body through osmosis. Like, I shouldn't just have to learn randomly throughout my life. I should know multiple times throughout my school curriculum
Mhm.
about the bodies of the people around me and understand how it works.
And it shouldn't be separated, and it shouldn't be divided because we're not emotionally mature enough. I hate that bullshit. Let's be clear. Your emotional maturity is simply based off of what people do and do not allow you to have when you are a kid. There are certain things that have to be like built upon, right?
Right.
But when
Mm.
you're in high school, you should absolutely have the emotional maturity to learn about men and women's body in a group setting. I'm just gonna be so fucking for real.
Mhm.
That's the whole point of high school, is to establish more emotional maturity and to get you prepared to go off into college if you're doing all of that. And if we're preparing you to go off to college, we're now understanding that life skills need to be taught. So now there are classes about budgeting and things like that. How are we gonna say that we don't want these kids to have sex until marriage, which we all know that's not gonna happen, but at least we don't want them to have sex in high school. But then you send them to college and you haven't even taught them enough to know how to protect themselves or their bodies. So college students are going off and getting STIs and getting all these things and getting women pregnant because they simply don't have the knowledge.
Right.
It's a wild take.
It's
But
not a wild take at all. I mean, it's STI awareness month, you know? Like, the fact that there's a lot of different STIs that a lot of people don't know about. They don't know
Mhm.
how common they are. I
They don't know
mean,
what signs to look for.
no,
I'll be the
exactly.
I'll be the first one to say that I have had chlamydia
Mhm.
twice from the same person.
Mhm. Okay.
How do you get it? Because chlamydia doesn't show symptoms in men.
Right. Right. And the fact that there's that and HPV as well. There's not many symptoms in men, if any at all, and there will be symptoms for you. And that's how you're going to find out that you got it from this person.
So people treat you as if you're nasty or you're disgusting because you have this thing, and you could be having consensual sex with your partner who you are exclusive with. And they just don't know because at one point in time they were having consensual exclusive sex with another person and they may have gotten it. And they just never knew because they didn't show symptoms, and then they passed it on to you. And what happened to me in that instance was that my partner made me feel like it was my fault for the other people that I was sleeping with, and I was a hoeing around and everything like that, instead of just saying, "Oh, well, let me," maybe it was just something that because they, it makes you feel icky and gross when you find out that you have it. But, oh, maybe it was just something that happened because STIs aren't things that you get because you're slutting around. Sometimes it just happens because they happen. We don't teach people enough about, condom care. I know I wasn't taught enough about condom care.
Right. I mean, from protection to you can get it from one partner. Like you could only have one partner and still get it. Like all of these things. It and most people for a lot of like bacterial STIs or viral STIs are asymptomatic. So you'll get it and not even know who you got it from because people aren't getting tested or know to get tested. Men, I don't think I've heard another man ask me when the last time I got tested, or like for the most part, like even in most conversations about sex, I've never asked another man when's the last time he got tested. It doesn't come up in conversation, even though I know the stats are so high.
I will say that one of the best gifts, my best friend's no longer here, but one of the best gifts that she gave me after I found out was that anytime that you get a new partner, you have to make your partner get tested. You have to get tested and you both have to share the results with each other.
That's real. That's exactly what you're supposed to
That's the way to be. But
be
we've had a conversation.
doing. Say, yeah, it's
I
definitely been a minute.
I loved it. I've loved having you on the podcast. If you ever want to come back and talk about a plethora of things,
Yes,
I'm
I'd
always
love that.
open.
Mhm.
I also have my recap podcast where I recap like TV shows and things like that.
Oh, that's really
Uh,
cool.
I'm Am I gonna be doing the Harry Potter TV show? Yes, I will.
Okay.
So
Alright.
if you ever wanna hop on an episode of that, I think it's gonna be me and my friend, but I'm not sure, but you're welcome if you run across the topic and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to talk about this. I need more time."
Mhm.
Let me know, I'm always here, but I'm so grateful that we got to do this today. I've learned something, so
Oh, wonderful. I mean, I've learned something as well. Like, it's always great to like really teach each other these things and have these conversations,
mhm.
especially with the other genders because like we just don't have these kind of opportunities to have these conversations. So I thank you so much for having me today. Like, I really appreciate it. Like, seriously.
No. I mean, like, again, thank you. You've made me feel like my little podcast is getting noticed, and that
Yes.
makes me so happy.
I'm really happy to like really expand your podcast. I'm happy to be here. I want to definitely be on another episode as well.
Yeah.
Having conversation with you has been really great. Like I, I've been really having like we went on so many different topics, and this is like the first time we really talked to each other at length. So I really appreciate this conversation.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah, I'm,
we're gonna have to do this again, guys.
yes,
More to
definitely.
come.
Yeah.
All right, but that is the end of our episode. Thank you all for listening. I have a feeling that this episode is going to have some bonus clips so that we can keep it in time. So definitely look out for some bonus clips. Other than that, Renee, where can everybody follow you?
You can follow me on TikTok, that guy Renee J, or you can go on Instagram, Born with the Dark Tan, and that's where you can follow me. That would be wonderful.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
See you
Bye.
next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Basically Unbothered. This episode has some bonus clips, especially for our
subscribers on Substack. So if you are a paid subscriber on Substack, you will get to hear a little bit of our extra clips. Talking with Renee was amazing, and we just had so much to talk about that I didn't want to take away everything of that conversation. So there's an 11-minute bonus clip that is there for you guys. And please don't forget to like, review, and subscribe, Basically Unbothered, and go tell your bestie that this is the new best podcast you've ever heard. Bye. Gabby Gabs Podcast.